It is 5 o'clock, so I will call this meeting of the Finance and Personnel Committee to order. We'll start out with the roll. Alder Feldy. Present. Alder Ackley. Here. Alder Flicky-Paneski. Here. Alder Perella. Here. Mitchell's here. That makes 5. We have a quorum. Will you all please stand and join me in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, looks like we have all familiar faces in the room, so we will jump over introductions, barring any objection, and move on to item number 5, which is approval of the minutes from the August 8th meeting. Is there any discussion on the minutes? If not, we'll be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, then seeing no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Next up is item number 6, which is RC number 274 of 2122 by the Finance and Personnel Committee, to whom was referred RO number 79 of 2122 by City Clerk, submitting a summons and complaint in the matter of Washington School Apartments LLC versus City of Sheboygan.
And actually, if you'd like, you can take item 8 with it as well.
Any objections to bringing item 8 in?
Okay, so you got 6 and 8 in a row by me reporting that the city's outside legal counsel has settled the matter of Washington School Apartments LLC versus the City of Sheboygan, case number 21 CV 312, with a payment by the city in the amount of $7,496.17, representing a partial refund for property taxes paid in 2021. So this was a challenge. Washington School Apartments challenged their assessment. We farmed it outside to outside counsel, Amy Seibel, who has handled a number of these assessment matters for us. And the settlement that she reached basically requires us to pay about $7,500 to decrease the, to basically pay the taxes on back on that decreased assessment. I think it's a pretty good deal. They were asking for significantly more than that, and this was a good way to settle it. So we're recommending that you file both the RC in number 6 and the RO in number 8. But I can answer any questions if you have them.
I have a question.
Questions? Alder Flicky-Paneski.
Thank you. So moving forward, when we have an appeal for a tax issue, does the assessor revalue, and then moving forward it's revalued that way? How?
Yeah, what he'll do is he revalues it, and then in future years the revaluation is based on the revalued. It's you know, it may still change based on other things that have happened since then, but the lower valuation will be the base valuation for the previous year going forward.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on these two? If not, we'll be looking for the motion described by the attorney, filing the document 4-6 and
Number 8.
accepting or recommending adoption or acceptance of the RO in number 8.
File.
Final answer would be filing on both of them.
I move to file number 6 and number 8.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second then. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Jumping in between then, we are at item number 7, which is RO number 47 of 2223 by City Clerk submitting summons and complaint in the matter of U.S. Bank National Association versus Michelle Aguilar et al.
So we're recommending filing this one as well. This was a summons and complaint where we were named as a co-defendant simply because it was a foreclosure action against Ms. Aguilar, and we have some, Ms. Aguilar owes us some money that we have filed claims on, and so as a result we were included. However, that matter has now been dismissed, so the foreclosure isn't moving forward, so you can just file the document.
Thank you. Questions or comments on this one? Otherwise, we'll be looking for that motion to file.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second then. Seeing no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion passes. On to item 9, which is resolution number 53 of 2223 by Alderpersons Mitchell and Flicky-Pineski approving the City of Sheboygan South Point Enterprise Campus Real Estate Sales Commission policy.
Thank you, Chair. So this document is for, in relation to the South Point Enterprise Campus, we have a similar document, a similar policy in the Sheboygan Business Center, where if a broker comes forward and successfully negotiates a sale of property in there, we would pay 6% commission to the broker, so they can recoup their time and effort. So we have in the past had a commercial broker that we contracted with, CBRE. They were charging 12% commission. So this is a better deal per se for the city, and it opens it up to real estate brokers to promote our park because they know they can recoup some of their time and efforts on deals that they successfully secure. So we think it's just another means of trying to make sure that this is in the open with the real estate market and that they're actively referring people to this park. So we're recommending that this move forward.
Thank you. Questions, Elder Flicky-Pineski?
Thank you. Is this just for this business park or is it for other properties in the city?
Just for this business park.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this one? If not, we will be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second then. Seeing no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it and the motion passes. On to the main event. Item number 10 is RC number 33 of 2223. Your committee, to whom was referred resolution number 24 of 2223 by Alderpersons Mitchell and Flicky-Pineski, adopting updated wage classifications and steps as part of the 2022 City of Sheboygan Compensation Program for non-represented employees.
Thank you, Chair. As you know, this resolution has previously gone to council and has been sent back here. So we are bringing it forward again as we feel that we have accomplished some of the goals that were set out previously by this committee, including meetings with Patrick Lynn from Carlson Detman in order to review certain positions prior to passing. So we do have Patrick Lynn online today, so he will go over a little bit of the review process that he did. And if you have any questions, he is willing to answer those. Perfect.
Patrick, did you have anything else you wanted to add right away?
I saw him.
Oh, Patrick was there for a minute. Oh, there he is.
He's playing peekaboo.
We can't hear you quite yet, Patrick.
Progress. I can put him on. Turn right.
Hi, Todd.
Hey, you want to just talk through my phone? All right. Hold on.
Oh, goodness.
All right, Patrick, go ahead.
I apologize, everybody. So, yeah, Caitlin asked that, just kind of a quick update in terms of how we approached this. And I think most of you had the opportunity to hear a lot of what we did at the last meeting, at which both myself and Sandy Motz attended to talk about how we met with each of the departments to go over the concerns regarding their respective positions. Actually, it was a full day in terms of going through those. After that time, during the meeting, we had, some sense of which way we were going, but we also needed to kind of go back and look at the information as it was presented, as it was in comparison to the other jobs to which we were aligning, as well as just looking at it, through the lens of our job evaluation system. And so the information that was provided, and it actually went both ways. A couple of departments, thought the jobs were rated maybe perhaps a little bit too high, and in some instances we agreed. In some instances we looked at, that based on information that wasn't available to us in the job documentation, we were able to fill in the blanks for some of those, and some it was just simply we couldn't see a change. We had, in some cases, we requested additional information, and in some cases, we received that information. In some cases, we didn't. And so, what you have in front of you, I believe, is a result of a pretty detailed and thorough review, not just by myself, but working through the departments and the city administration. And I guess I can leave it at that, just knowing that we've kind of, like I said, rolled up our sleeves and dug back into things to make certain that what you are adopting, I hope, is as complete a product as possible. Todd, Caitlin, is there anything I should add to that conversation?
Patrick, I again want to thank you for you and your team's review of all of the different positions. I think that the department heads, the 6 of them that came forward with questions and concerns, did a really good job of allowing both parties to really vet the questions. As you had stated, there were items that were brought up during the discussion to help you and your team to kind of help make sure that the placement was accurate and correct in the overall. And I'm hoping that the committee here will see the value that has gone into it, because all of the positions have been looked at as far as equity and inclusion for making sure that everything is balanced according to the job descriptions and the responsibilities of these positions. So I don't know if the committee has any questions for you.
Todd, I have one thing to add here, because I think it's helpful to the conversation, is that in working through this, and both Sandy and I had a chance to kind of talk about, some of the things, I think I look forward to, and as I'm quite certain Caitlin and Ty do as well, to having a staffed human resources department, because I think some of the matters that were brought before us really probably could have been avoided had there been more of a centralized human resources function to help shift and mold and guide some of the educational requirements or comparisons to other positions. So like I said, I think I'm understating it when I say Todd and Caitlin are excited to have that department filled up as well, and will be helpful moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, comments from committee members or guests? Alder Perella?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, let me say I'm happy that many of the discrepancies or situations discussed were resolved. I'm curious about this. It looks like that about 7 of the positions have not been changed. I assume, is that reasonable to assume that in some of these cases you did not receive the documentation you asked for, or is that because you just deemed that no adjustment could be made based on the documentation you had?
I think that there's probably a threefold response in terms of the first interpretation. There were some instances where we left the door open for additional documentation, did not receive that documentation. So that would be a correct assumption for some of those. Some of them that they were requested to be reviewed, we dug into it. We, as part of our questions and answers and follow up, and just did not feel that they warranted a change in classification. And then there were a number of others, across several departments where it was, I just want to compare to another department. It wasn't necessarily a change or anything to do with the duties of the job itself, just a comparison to another department. And that really isn't something that is it's a good conversation, but, and a lot of those comparisons were made to incomplete information based on the job documentation that was posted on the city's website, which needs to be updated, and that's part of your human resources function. And so again, it was not comparing apples to apples, and so we did not recommend a change in those instances as well. That there wasn't any allusion to the fact of that the duties themselves were erroneously evaluated, just they were comparing to other jobs which may or may not have been related to the other jobs in question.
May I? And also, is the appeal process still going to be an option?
Appeal. Yes, it will.
And how long will the department head have in order to appeal, to still appeal?
It really depends on when the program gets approved.
I will say that we will be communicating out a clear deadline, clear expectations of what is needed in order to go through the appeals process. An employee should be going to their manager first to kind of plead their case on why they believe that their position should be changed. And from there, that manager will help that employee update job description if that's what needed, or make sure that the job description is the most clear of their duties, and then we will go through the appeal process at that point. We did not determine a deadline as of today because we wanted to make sure that we were going to be moving to the next step before putting those deadlines out there.
The reason, I just feel that I need to explain, the reason I was asking for that is because I assume that some people may benefit from the help of an HR director to look again at their job descriptions, and so I was wondering if that could be a possibility.
There's an echo that I can't hear everything completely, so someone can restate.
I was actually wondering if there was a timing still for the appeal process, and if there is a timeline for that appeal process, just in case some people may need or feel that they need the help of an HR director. So I was wondering if there is, I'm not asking for that, I'm just wondering if there is that option there, if there will be that option there for some people that want still to consider to appeal.
We will give people, team members, the time to review their job description and update it. But I do want to point out, and Patrick and Caitlin can jump in if I misstate something, but one of the things that we heard during this whole entire process was that several department heads and supervisors did not actually review the job descriptions. They allowed the employees to do the JDQs, and they kind of passed the documentation through without reviewing it. So part of this, as Caitlin had stated earlier, the employee needs to go to their director, to their supervisor, and plead their case, review their job description, because they're ultimately the ones that are supposed to be helping to fill this out. If they need additional assistance, we will make sure that the employees have that ability. But again, the big failure that we had was hearing from department heads that they had not reviewed the JDQs themselves. Thank you.
And I would say, just in addition to that, the appeals process, I would say, is usually about a 45-day window. The reason for that is providing information, letting the employees look at that information, then formulating the appeal. That's usually a 2 to 4 week process, and then trying to actually sit down with the appropriate parties to look at that and make the appropriate recommendations. I would add, and this isn't even through this process, and I would view the process we just went through as being very much aligned with the appeals process in terms of people identifying things that may or may not have been considered. That the jobs the jobs we were asked to review, there would have to be a great deal of change for any of those to move again. If that was indeed an appeal, I having gone through with a fine-tooth comb and aligned it with, what we have, Now, that wasn't every job in the organization, and it wasn't necessarily an employee-driven process. I understand it. But having gone through it now, the job's probably a fifth or sixth time upon review, we're getting, and as it should be, and I would hope that you would expect the same, that we should be getting closer and closer and closer to having something that is perfectly aligned. Now, that being said, we do know things have changed. In the months that this project has gone on, that things might have shifted, or other expectations or programs or services added or subtracted. So it's always important to make certain that we're dotting our I's, crossing our T's at the end. But I would say probably about a 45-day window from adoption. And again, that also depends on staff availability. You're heading into your heavy season for the budget, and I'm presuming that the human resources function will be staffed relatively soon. But I'm also going to be asking Caitlin and Todd to be taking on some other matters as well, to get your budget adopted. I would say normally about a 45-day window.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alder Flicky-Paneski?
It's been answered, thank you.
Has been answered, all right. Any other questions or comments?
Patrick's here for you, so please ask.
No time like the present. If we do have no further discussion, we would be looking for a motion to approve on this one.
As amended, as presented.
I move to approve as presented and recommend to council.
I would say as amended rather than as presented.
As amended.
Thank you.
All right, then, Alder Prelate, is that?
Mr. Chair, just one more question.
Sure.
So as amended to reflect all the changes that have been done as a result of the meetings with them. Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right, last call. Any other questions, comments? Discussion? If not, we do have a motion and a second. So, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The ayes have it, and the motion passes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. Our next meeting date is going to be September 12th of 22, but before we adjourn, we will have a HR department update from Administrator Wolf.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you again for the approval of the wage classifications. No, it's basically during the classification piece, it was asked that so I can't talk. Got it. No worries. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Adams. In that case, we have exhausted our agenda and are looking for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion on adjournment, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.